Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu salam wa rasulullah. So I've been reading from the 40 principles, fundamentals of the religion, Al-Arba fi Usul by Imam Al-Ghazali, rahimahullah. Wa nafa'ana ba'um fi ad-darain. Ameen, ameen, ameen. And we read few pages from the third principle from the fourth quarter of this book, corresponding to Ihya Ulum, the revival of the religious sciences, of the Islamic sciences. And it is about asceticism. And thus far, we have, at least in the very last part of the last reading, we have read about the life of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ from this perspective. What did he eat? What did he wear? What did, and obviously it was austere, just to summarize what we have read. It's very simple. Definitely not worldly in any sense. Even the straps of his sandals, the new ones, he asked that the old ones be back. And now we can continue reading, and the first thing that we read, inshallah, is about Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab, radiyallahu anhu, the Al-Faruq, the just caliph, commander of the faithful. 12 patches were counted on a shirt belonging to Umar, radiyallahu anhu. Some of them from leather, the patches. And before we continue with the next story about Ali bin Abi Talib, radiyallahu anhu, let us stop for a minute. At the time of Umar, there was, they talk about this state had plenty of money, but he would not even get himself a full garment. He was a tall person, and when people saw once that he was wearing a full garment, they asked him, which is beautiful, really, accountability about the whereabouts of this garment. Obviously, he took his share and the share of his son, the 2 pieces of cloth, to make one full garment for a tall person. And mentioning the 12 very famous muraqqa'at, the patched garment of Umar al-Khattab was very famous. I attended a meeting at the International Islamic University in Kuala Lumpur, and I was invited to a meeting with the Minister of Higher Education from the Arab world who came to visit, and the rector of the university, Dr. Hamid Abu Sulaiman, rahimahullah. So he invited me, and we were only 3 of us. And this Minister of Higher Education said something that bizarre. He did not have to say it. He said, had Umar al-Khattab lived until nowadays, this story was about 1994, 95, approximately. He said, this minister, that had Umar al-Khattab lived until today, he would have used Mercedes 1000, which I did not see really in my life. So it's let's put it this way, it's a fancy Mercedes. And the people might say, oh, this is a full option. Okay. Would Umar ibn Khattab simply use it because it's fancy? And there are things that I would say that he would have to abide by. Okay, like security, he has to take a bodyguard. He paid with his life. There should be. So things change over the years, and I think Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan was the first one to take to appoint a hajib. And hajib, yahjib, is somebody who would basically is in control of who enters and who shouldn't. But I thought that in my mind immediately that it was very, very wrong to think that Umar al-Khattab would have. But of course, that minister was justifying for himself. Okay, if your country can afford to give you a Mercedes-Benz 1000, that's fine. I'm not saying this is at the end of the world, but to paint such important personalities for us in the history of Islam, the history that supports a specific worldview. They were cut from a different fabric, I would say, metaphorically. Ali radiallahu anh bought a garment during his caliphate for 3 dirhams. 3 dirhams, it's just like it's practically nothing. Very cheap stuff. He cut off its sleeves from the wrists, so he did not want the sleeves to be hanging, show off. And he said, all praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who clothed me with this from his provision of clothes. But the Arabic that I think this is really does include the word risha. Okay, so the Ali ibn Abi Talib said, Alhamdulillah الذي كساني هذا من رياشه. Rish, Brisha, Riyash, Brisha, Rish, Riyash. So this alludes to a specific verse in the Quran. يا بني آدم قد أنزلنا عليكم لباسا يواري سوآتكم وريشا. Imam Al-Ghazali has, originally, before you resort to metaphorical, allegorical interpretation, you think of whether something is could be applicable immediately. And first of all, the etymology of rish and riyash is feathers. You cover yourself with feathers, and of course, you cover yourself. Adam and Eve, once they ate from the prohibited tree, at that moment they became aware of their sawa, private parts, and the notion they started basically covering themselves from the leaves of the garden. So whether it's plant-based or synthetic fabric today or whatever is the case, but I just wanted to share that the Arabic text min riyashihi risha from the Quran. This is from Surah Al-Arba, verse 26. And then again about Ali ibn Abi Talib, radiallahu anh, he said, okay, truly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala required the leaders of guidance to be like the people in their lowest material state, so that the rich person might take them as an example and the poor person would not be disparaged on account of his poverty. But before that, there is something about the garment of Sufyan, meaning Sufyan al-Thawri. Wallahu a'lam. Someone said, I estimated the value of Sufyan's garment and sandals to be a dirham and 4 daniqs. Like $1.40, for example. I'm just giving a number. A dirham is a silver coin, okay? That's the... As for shelter, its lowest is that a person be content with the corner in a masjid or hospice like the people of the porch, Ahlul Sufa. The highest is that a person seeks for himself is a private place. The lowest is like Ahlul Sufa. Okay. But let me say that my understanding is that Ahlul Sufa was pretty much transitional, a transitional stage. People who came from Mecca or from different parts of the desert or from different countries. So it was not really meant for itself, Allahu Alam. So a private place, that is an apartment by either buying or renting on condition that is more spacious than, on condition that it is no more spacious than necessary. He does not extend its height, and he does not regard plastering. He does not regard plastering it important. It is mentioned in the hadith, truly whoever raises his building above 6 cubits, 6 cubits adra. I think, I think a cubit is 68 centimeters, okay? So that's still some people estimate it less than this, 46 centimeters. It's relative, normative. So if you talk about half a meter, that's 3 meters high. That's not bad, I would say. Modern apartments in general hardly reach the 3 meters level. It is mentioned in a hadith, truly whoever, well, it's in the other, truly whoever raises his building above 6 cubits, a caller calls him saying, where are you going, O most sinful of sinners? Allah's Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam died having never placed a brick over a brick or a road over a road. Of course, it means for private use. Those who visited Medina, and of course the Prophet ﷺ, was buried in the room of Aisha radiallahu anha. And we know from the sound traditions that at night when he used to pray in that room, the moment he wanted to prostrate, he will just simply nudge her leg a little bit to the side so that she could move it, so that he could prostrate on the floor. Very tiny place. So here it talks about the private use, but we know that he, for the public space, the mosque, sacred space, he did participate himself in building the mosque. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anh, said, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam walked by us while we were fixing a hut and said, indeed, the matter is hastier than that. The matter, whether their own end on the personal level or the end of this life in general, it's faster than that. Nuh alayhi salam took a hut as a house. So it was said to him, why not build? He said, this is a lot for someone who will die. And the message here is that someone who lived almost 1,000 years, okay, because the 1,000, it's not year. In Arabic we have solar year and lunar year, sana and am, and there's just a little bit of difference there. So this is why I said almost 1,000 years, but it's not our topic right now to explain it. So for someone who lived for 1,000 years, he simply had a hut, not really a building. And it has been attributed to the Prophet ﷺ, though the chain of narrators is problematic. It's really, there's, when they say lean and inqita', it's not of the strongest chains, and also it is not connected between every narrator and the other. Something is missing in the chain. So it has been said that, I will just mention it as a statement, whoever builds above what is enough for him will be forced to carry it on the day of resurrection. The Prophet ﷺ in a hadith, every building is harmful to its owner on the day of resurrection, except what sheltered from heat or from cold. As for the furnishing of a house, it is also of various levels. The lowest is the condition of Isa ibn Maryam, Jesus Christ, son of Mary, peace be upon him, as he had nothing with him except a comb and a small jar. Small jar, it's just like something to drink water with. When he saw a person combing his hair with his fingers, he threw away the comb, and when he saw another person drinking with his hand, he threw away the small jar. He did not need even that much. The medium level is that a person uses the rough type of item for each purpose and strive to use only one. Umar said to Umayr ibn Sa'd, who was the commander of Homs, what of the world do you have? He said, I have my staff that I lean upon and kill snakes with it, if I encounter them. A knapsack that I carry, that I carry food in, a large bowl that I eat from and wash my hair and clothes in, and a canister that I carry drinking water and water for ablution in. Whatever is beyond this from the world is subordinate to what I have. So Omar said, "You have spoken the truth." One of the commanders that Umar al-Khattab appointed in Sham, it's really Syria, Greater Syria, and it has also been said that when a Sham is mentioned without any qualification, it refers to Philistine, which has been mentioned historically. The earliest that I have read is that it was mentioned in the year 3000, like it was 3,200 years ago, like 1200 years BC. Well, Hassan said, "I met 70 of the most virtuous people, and not one of them had anything but a single garment, nor did any of them put any cloth between him and the floor." Austerity again. Allah's Messenger ﷺ used to sleep on a leather pillow stuffed with palm fiber. Well, in Arabic it says leaf. Okay. Was it from palm only? And a coarse wool blanket. A cloak, really. And that was used as a okay. What he slept on, so it's not so it's a folded cloth, really, in a folded cloth. Course is the only thing that was translated correctly, because it's really عباءة مثنية, folded. That's missing from the translation. Still, it is this particular hadith. We have two parts. The first part, the pillow from leather, filled with stuffed with fiber. This hadith narrated by Tirmidhi, and it is Hasan Sahih. It's good. The folded cloak, this part was mentioned by Al-Bayhaqi, and the chain, so the is problematic. It's ضعيف, but one would expect that it is, despite the chain narrators, it could still be a simple mattress, or this is really the all these stories that Imam Al-Ghazali mentioned. He said, he, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24 25 26 27 28 29 30 31 32 33 34 35 36 37 38 39 40 41 42 43 44 45 46 47 48 49 50 51 52 53 54 55 56 57 58 59 60 61 62 63 64 65 66 67 68 69 70 71 72 73 74 75 76 77 78 79 80 81 82 83 84 85 86 87 88 89 90 91 92 93 94 95 96 97 98 99 100 101 102 103 104 105 106 107 108 109 110 111 112 113 114 115 116 117 118 119 120 121 122 123 124 125 126 127 128 129 130 131 132 133 134 135 136 137 138 139 140 141 142 143 144 145 146 147 148 149 150 151 152 153 154 155 156 157 158 159 160 Asceticism has various levels. This is the way of the ascetics in the world. Whoever is prevented from this level, let him at least regret missing it, and strive to be closer to it than he is to those who enjoy luxury in the world. Levels of asceticism. Various levels. The first of them is that a person abstains, yet his ego inclines toward the world and he struggles against it. This person is attempting asceticism but is not an ascetic because still he is inclined. Nevertheless, the beginning of asceticism is to attempt, to attain it. The second is that a person's ego flees from the world and does not incline to it due to his knowledge that it is impossible to combine between the world and the pleasures of the afterlife. Hence, his ego permits its abandonment, just as the ego of someone who permits a dirham, or who spends permits a dirham to buy a jewel, even if the dirham was beloved to him. This is ascetic. The third is that a person's ego does not incline. To the world, nor does it flee from it. Rather, its existence or non-existence is the same to him. Wealth is like water to him, and the stores of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are like the sea. His heart does not pay attention to it. There is no desire and no aversion. This is the most complete because the one who hates a thing is preoccupied with it, just as the one who loves it. One could bring to the picture the school of psycho analytics. It's not always right, but it's interesting to see. If you fight too much about something, if you fight something, if you hear something that much, meaning that you mention it all the time, does it mean that there's certain grain in the back of your head, in your consciousness, that still attached to it? This is the most complete. So his heart does not pay attention to it. There is no desire and no aversion. This is the most complete because the one who hates a thing is preoccupied with it, just as the one who loves it. For this reason, some people censored the world in the presence of Rabi'a al-Adawiyya. So she said, if it were not for its status in your hearts, you would not have censored it. 100,000 dirhams were taken to Aisha radiallahu anha, al-Mu'mineen, mother of the faithful, and she was not averse to it. Rather, she distributed it throughout her day. Her servant said to her, if only you had bought some meat with a dirham so that you might eat something. I said, if you had reminded me, I would have done so. The text in Arabic says, تفطرين عليه. It seems that she was fasting. Yes, so that she might eat something, but really it's about tuftarin, that you break your fast, to break your fast. Something for breaking fast at the end of the day. Remember that what she said here. Throughout her day. During that day, doesn't have to be the whole day. ولكن فرقتها في يومها. This is true richness, and it is the most complete form of aestheticism. However, it is a place probable delusion for fools. Every deluded person feels within himself that his heart has no attachment to the world. The sign of there being no attachment is that a person does not perceive the difference between all of his wealth being stolen or the wealth of someone else being stolen. As long as he perceives the difference, he is preoccupied with it. Enough for today, inshallah, and tomorrow we will continue بإذن الله عز وجل, God willing. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.